Part 8. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 71. Ha. At 8 o'clock in the morning, Kurosawa Hikaru took the subway, stood with one hand holding a pull ring, and yawned. It's so tiring to go to the beach for a day. Although his body was strengthened by the permanent rewards of the system, he played crazy yesterday. The physical fatigue is okay, but it is more of a mental slackness. Just then, the phone rang suddenly. "Brother Guang, did you get up so late?" "I'm already at school," this was Xiao Yuji's reply. Obviously, even if you are a bad student, a hot girl, or don't like to study, you still have to go to school. The courses in college are not that tight. See if there are any classes. Kurosawa Hikaru picked up the phone and saw that it was Xiao Yuji's reply. "So that's the case. By the way, Miss Igarashi is here again, but she didn't talk to me, but hid not far away and stared at me, as if she was following me. I walked over and scared her, and I didn't even have a chance to return the money to her." Seeing these words, Kurosawa Hikaru's somewhat casual mood suddenly tensed up. As expected, Miss Runa still hasn't given up. In fact, he guessed it yesterday. Even if he pretended to be Hinata's voice and expressed his attitude of not wanting to be a singer, but without a direct rejection, Miss Runa obviously couldn't give up so easily. After all, Igarashi Runa claims to be a talent scout. If she meets a good seedling with potential and likes it very much, she will definitely work hard to fight for it. You have discovered this. Is her tracking obvious? Realizing that this matter has not been over, Kurosawa Hikari thought about it and asked. "It's not obvious, but I was bullied for a while before, so I am particularly sensitive to sight." "Have you mentioned me to her?" "No, I have already told Lan, Tong, and Aoi. If anyone asks about you, you must not let go and will not say your name. Then I have to find a chance to thank them." Kurosawa Hikari saw that she was very thoughtful and felt a little relieved. "By the way, can you tell Lan and the others about the beach trip you and I took yesterday?" "Of course. I'm about to go to class, so let's stop here for now. Bye." "Bye." The chat ended here, and Kurosawa Hikaru put his phone in his pocket, frowning and thinking. To be honest, this matter is very tricky. Miss Runa's friend couldn't be anyone else's, but she happened to be Mr. Ninamaya's best friend. Under this premise, if Miss Runa found out about his identity through the relationship with Xiaoyuki, it would lead to a very troublesome and even irreversible development. He could imagine that when Igarashi Runa found out about the karaoke god, she would not be happy to have successfully found the swift horse after hard work and hardship, but would be unbelievable, or angry at being deceived. After all, when she was praising the karaoke god in the car that day, he was just watching from the side without saying a word. Even more, he could predict what Miss Runa would say. "You dated JK and Chizuru, what on earth are you thinking?" Such a question can be said to be a judgment of a scumbag. But he couldn't think of a reasonable explanation. After all, he was dating two girls at the same time. The most terrifying thing is that if Miss Runa thinks that her assists, help, and sacrifice that day are all ridiculous, it will be even worse. On the date at the amusement park that day, he was very grateful for what Miss Runa did, but he didn't want to repay kindness with hatred. We have to think of a way. Realizing that the other party would not give up so easily, Kurosawa Hikaru felt that this time bomb must be dismantled. After getting off the bus at the stop, Kurosawa Hikaru quickly walked into the University of Tokyo and headed towards the building of the Department of Economics. When he entered the teaching building, a junior school girl greeted him. "Kurosawa-senpai, good morning." "Good morning." Although Kurosawa Hikaru was worried, he also raised his head and responded with a smile. After greeting, he went to the classroom. The junior school girl, who was also going back to the classroom, looked back at his back and was a little excited. "Do you feel that Kurosawa-senpai is more handsome?" "Really?" "That's the feeling," For example, he is more confident. When he walks, it's like there's a breeze blowing over him, and he has a strong sense of presence. It seems to be true, for example, his back is straighter and he doesn't hunch over anymore. The schoolgirl who was walking with her looked at the back again and felt a little bit different. If you don't observe carefully, you really can't see such a difference. At 8:25, Kurosawa Hikaru arrived in the classroom. This way. As soon as he walked into the classroom, Miyazaki Yuta, who was already in his seat, waved and greeted him. "What's wrong? He looks like he's worried." Miyazaki Yuta watched him come to the empty seat next to him and sit down. He found that his brows were not as relaxed as before, so he became curious. "Something's going on." Kurosawa Hikaru nodded when he saw the clue at a glance. "Let me guess, is it related to a girl? After your ex-girlfriend broke up with you, she suddenly realized that she couldn't lose you and wanted to get back together with you, but you were hesitating between studies and love because of what Ninomiya teacher talked to you about last week." Finding that he was really like this, Miyazaki Yuta immediately became energetic and lowered his head to speak. Hearing this speculation, Kurosawa Hikaru just looked at him and said nothing. "Isn't that so?" Yuta Miyazaki asked when he saw that he remained silent. "No." "What's that for?" "It's a personal matter. It's hard to talk about it. Please let me go." This time, his thoughts and worries were more complicated, and Kurosawa Hikari did not communicate with him as frankly as before. Because friends in school are precious, he would tell Miyazaki about any troubles he had in the past, and of course the other party would do the same. Actually, this morning, a few schoolgirls came to see me. Seeing that he was still upset, Miyazaki Yuta thought about it and said, "How many schoolgirls? What happened?" "It's just like the meeting at the beginning of school. It's just for you." Kurosawa Hikaru was a little surprised. "They are not the same group, but they are all inviting me to the sorority, hoping that I will call you." "Feel sorry." Kurosawa Hikaru felt a little guilty, always feeling sorry for him. Because Miyazaki Yuta's situation is like a green leafy friend beside a handsome guy, specially used as a bridge. "It doesn't matter. I'm not handsome, and my grades are not top-notch in school. I'm just average. It's normal that no girls want to talk to me. But you are different. You are handsome and have good grades. The key is that you go to school." Within weeks, the news about being dumped had spread throughout the school. Miyazaki Yuta didn't care at all, spread his hands, and then put a hand on his shoulder. He was very happy to be friends with Kurosawa. "Then what? Some girls feel that you are not worthy of your reputation, that's all. But there are still some girls who feel that their opportunity has come." "I see, only the juniors are looking for you, not the juniors." Although he himself didn't mind, Kurosawa Hikaru was a little concerned and asked, "Do you think there are boys at Dongda who are stupid enough to drag you to a fraternity party?" Kurosawa Hikaru declined to comment. He felt that he had asked a very stupid question. "Do you want to go to a social gathering?" One of the senior students said that if you go, Senior Mickey might also go. "I feel like she is interested in you." "No, I don't have that much time." Kurosawa shook his head. Nowadays, just for Xiaoyuki and Miss Ninomiya, he is facing a big crisis and he can't cope with it. He is asking for trouble by provoking other girls. Book promotion time. My dog licking money can be reimbursed. Lu Yu obtained the goddess expense reimbursement system. As long as you spend money on a goddess with a score of 90 or above, the system will reimburse you. You can easily conquer the goddess without spending a penny on yourself. It's obviously a strategy game where the system helps the host get out of singles. But, Lu Yu, who didn't take the ordinary path, just played a reimbursement game to achieve his small goals in life. Readers who like urban harem novels should not miss this book. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 72. That's Senior Mickey. She's so beautiful. She might be interested in you. Isn't that enough for you to go there once? Seeing that he refused, Miyazaki Yuta didn't understand. Now Kurosawa, because of last week's lovelorn incident, has rekindled the interest of the girls. After all, before that, he had always been an elitist who refused to fall in love. He was either studying or on the way to study. I've been very busy recently. Don't you think it's a waste? I don't think so, and you also said it's possible. Maybe it's someone else's way of talking. Indeed, the girls at Tokyo University are very smart, Yuta Miyazaki suddenly realized, holding his chin with one hand, thoughtfully. If you want to be admitted to Dongda University, if you don't have good brains, you won't be able to pass the exam. Next time if there is another invitation, please refuse it for me. Sure enough, you are still not a romantic. It can be understood this way, Kurosawa Hikaru thought for a moment and nodded. On campus, if he fell in love with someone, there was at least a 90% chance that the news would reach the ears of Mr. Ninomiya. Because of Mr. Ninomiya's existence, he did not consider finding a girlfriend at Tokyo University. Kurosawa Hikaru took more courses on Mondays. After all, after the weekend break, it was the time he needed to get into the zone. Not long after, it was time for class. Da-da-da. With the sound of high heels, Ninomiya Chizuru, wearing a beige shirt, slightly curly blue hair, a long black skirt, and black pantyhose, came to the classroom. The first class this Monday is Ninomiya Chizuru's class, which is about financial economics. Perhaps because she is younger and has less qualifications, although she has become a teacher, she is still a lecturer, not a professor. Having said that, her courses are much more popular than those of those professors, and almost every class is nearly full. After all, who doesn't like listening to beautiful teachers? As she entered the classroom, the voices in the room became quiet. Ninomiya-sensei has such a temperamental temperament, she has the feeling of a proud royal sister. Yuta Miyazaki touched Kurosawa Hikaru with his arm and sighed happily. Kurosawa Hikaru looked at Ninomiya Chizuru, who walked to the podium, and nodded. In fact, after going on a date with teacher Ninomiya the day before yesterday and seeing her wearing rimless glasses, he felt that the current teacher Ninomiya did not exude her charm and temperament at all. Maybe it's because of her awareness as a teacher that she is more serious and solemn in her dress and appearance. Even if she wears lipstick, it is a more natural color, not red, it is very natural, more mature, and less sexy. Although it was a date on Saturday, Ninomiya Chizuru acted as if such a thing had never happened. When she came to the classroom, she glanced around and started class without calling her name or looking at Kurosawa Hikaru. Kurosawa Hikaru was aware of this and did not look at it too much, but focused on his studies. The time of a class passed quickly. As Chizuru Ninomiya stepped on her high heels and walked out of the classroom, the class officially ended. Did you say Ninomiya-sensei is married? As soon as get out of class ended, Miyazaki Yuta couldn't help but talk to Kurosawa Hikaru. It's not a good habit to talk about your teacher. Kurosawa Hikaru didn't want to discuss this matter too much at school, lest it attract attention and cause trouble for both parties. I'm sorry, it's just that I feel like she's not in a good mood today. She looks cold and even more beautiful. Miyazaki Yuta shrugged. He knew it was not a good habit, but he still couldn't help it. Have it? Of course. I feel that the angle of her mouth today is a little more bent than before. You are so meticulous in your observations. Have you attended the lectures? Kurosawa Hikaru was a little sad and a little depressed. What's sad is that he can notice such small details. What's sad is that Mr. Ninomiya is being stared at. Although there are some differences between the Ninomiya-sensei at school and the Ninomiya-sensei he is dating. Yes, right, Yuta Miyazaki felt a little guilty. If you look at a beautiful woman 100 times, she won't be yours, but if you read a book and listen to a lecture 100 times, the knowledge will be yours. Seeing him like this, it was obvious that he hadn't been paying attention all this time. Kurosawa Hikari lectured him with a straight face. "Thank you, teacher." Finding that he was very serious, Miyazaki Yuta thought about it and felt that it made sense. He nodded heavily and saluted. "I finally got into Tokyo University, but instead of studying hard, I went to see a beautiful teacher. I was really putting the cart before the horse. Let's go." After successfully correcting his bad habits, Kurosawa Hikaru smiled, felt a little better, and stood up. Their required courses have many in common, and their course selections also overlap, so they often work together. In today's follow-up class, Kurosawa Hikaru took the class seriously. This is a habit he has developed over the years. "Are you feeling bad? What happened?" It's just that during recess, he was a little concerned about Yuta Miyazaki's words. Time at school is always peaceful and smooth. Because no matter which country they are in, they will try their best to make the educational environment better and formulate many policies to help students. In the evening, in the office, Chizuru Ninomiya finished her class and did not leave school early. She sat at her desk, typing away on her laptop, still working. Her expression was calm, but her aura seemed rather cold, with a sense of no strangers allowed. "Ninomiya, do you want to go for a drink tonight?" However, there was still a male professor in his 30s who, knowing that she was not easy to talk to, still summoned up the courage to invite her. "I rarely drink, and I have work to do." In response to the invitation, Chizuru Ninomiya raised her head and glanced at the professor, but her movements did not stop. "You have made an appointment so many times but failed, and you just said that she is not interested in you. Are you still not giving up?" The invitation was rejected, and the male professor walked out, and the colleagues waiting outside also left. What if she gets excited? However, the male professor's idea was very positive. Love is fought for, and it is difficult to get results if you wait in the same place. The students may not know, but as colleagues, they know that Chizuru Ninomiya is not married yet, and she doesn't even have a boyfriend. After rejecting them, Chizuru Ninomiya went to work again. Buzz. At this moment, the phone on the table suddenly vibrated. Hearing this, Ninomiya Chizuru paused her keyboard typing, and then picked up the phone to take a look. It was an app advertisement, meaningless. Seeing this, she put the phone down. 6 o'clock, he should have finished class and returned home at this time. Why hasn't he sent me a message yet? Ninomiya Chizuru glanced at the time in the lower right corner of the computer, and continued to work on the Word document, feeling a little irritated for no reason. Since the date on Saturday, after they parted that night, Kurosawa Hikaru has never contacted her again, and she doesn't know what happened. Buzz. At this moment, the phone vibrated again, and she picked it up and saw a message on the screen. It was a line message, and the note was Hikaru. She changed it on Saturday night, considering the previous chat content. If it was seen by others, it might be exposed, so she removed the last name. Book recommendation time, Luoluahu's book. Have I made a mistake in reincarnating as a succubus? Kyle, a former professional player of the Gate of the Netherworld Club, traveled to the time before the game was launched with his player panel and became a mixed-blood succubus. However, Kyle always felt that the way he raised the fourth calamity as a leak was a bit wrong. The way other NPCs cut players' leaks, unfathomable strength, top plot background, hidden stories behind, rich and diverse skill teaching methods. The way I cut players' leaks, pure and lustful face, small pink tail, magic eyes with peach hearts, gorgeous skills, and the smile in the game trailer. Wait, is there something wrong with my game world adventure? Keywords, Fourth Calamity Farming Lord Dungeon Player. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 73. Finally waiting for this message, Ninomiya Chizuru looked around and found that her colleagues were almost gone. Then she raised her right hand, pushed her hair behind her ear, woke up the screen, and clicked in. Miss Ninomiya. I want to call the teacher, what's wrong? Seeing that he didn't call her teacher, Ninomiya Chizuru started typing with both hands. I feel like you're not in a good mood today. Did something happen? Nothing at all. Seeing this statement, Ninomiya Chizuru's heart tightened, and then she responded. Did she show it so obviously? This has been noticed, and it shouldn't be. She was really in a bad mood, because she had been staying at home yesterday, being alone and bored, and from time to time she would think of Saturday's trip to the amusement park and that date. As a result, she waited for a whole day, but she didn't get any message or contact from Kurosawa Hikaru. But it was hard for her to take the initiative to contact him, lest she appear to be very active. Tell me about it. It's really okay, I just have a lot of work today. Ninomiya Chizuru refused to answer and found an excuse. She can't say that I'm in a bad mood because you didn't send me a message yesterday and waited all day, so I was upset. That's too shameful. I see. What's the matter with you? It's true. What? Ninomiya Chizuru's heartbeat accelerated a little. Could it be that he wants to invite himself on a date again? Where will it go this time? Actually, I want to ask you for Ms. Runa's line. I have something I want to talk to her about. Ninomiya Chizuru, who had just been a little excited, realized that he was here for this, and her beautiful eyes were fixed on him. What do you want to talk to her about? The next moment, she took a deep breath, brushed her long hair with one hand, and asked. Although she looked cold and calm on the outside, her heart was in chaos. Why did Kurosawa look for Runa? There shouldn't be any necessary intersection between the two of them, whether in career or life. Could it be that Runa's performance on Saturday made Kurosawa feel good about him? This is very possible, because Runa is very beautiful and has a good figure. When she works, she is serious and handsome. She usually has a cheerful, enthusiastic, and energetic personality, which is different from a woman like her who has a gloomy and rigid personality. Isn't she looking for the karaoke singer? There was also a discussion in school today. I think there is information that will be useful to her. Okay. After seeing the reason for seeing him, Ninomiya Chizuru calmed down a little bit from her wild thoughts and replied. Then, after some manipulation, she shared Runa's line account. Thanks. Need not. Although there is a lot of work, you should also pay attention to rest and don't get tired. Got used to. Once the communication reaches this point, the phone will no longer vibrate. Ninomiya Chizuru held the phone and did not put it down. 2 minutes later, she confirmed one thing, there would be no next message from Kurosawa Hikaru. That's it? When I asked for Runa's account, you didn't reply. Ninomiya Chizuru held her phone tightly, and finally regained her mood a little, but became irritable again. What does this guy mean? It's really hard to guess a man's heart. Kurosawa Hikaru on the other side expressed concern at the end and went to add an account. The application to add friends was not approved the first time. However, he didn't worry about it and got up to make dinner. Ever since he went to college and came to Tokyo away from his hometown, he has started living alone. Takeout in Japan is very expensive, and eating out is also quite expensive. Although his part-time job is very profitable, in order to save money and trouble, he still learned cooking skills, which is a home-cooked level. Maybe I'm not particularly good at cooking, but I still learned various side dishes like egg fried rice. I don't know if I have a date. If I get an entry-level cooking skill, I'll be in for a treat. Wearing an apron and frying pork chops in a pan, Kurosawa was suddenly looking forward to a reward. If you have cooking skills, let alone whether you can perform well in front of a girl, you will definitely be able to eat better. The cooking skills he taught himself were at best more in line with his own taste and a little delicious, but not as good as those from outside restaurants or professional chefs. Because he was eating alone, Kurosawa made it very simple. He just fried 2 pieces of pork chops and it was done. He sat down at the table and started eating. Finally, when he was halfway through eating, there was movement on his phone. Igarashi Runa has approved his friend application. Brother Kurosawa, what's the matter? Do you have anything to do with your sister? Igarashi Runa's character is indeed very enthusiastic. She knew who the applicant was because Hikari Kurosawa identified himself when he verified the information. Her line name is very formal, it's Igarashi, which is her last name, and her avatar is also a photo of herself. She looks very handsome, cool, and very beautiful. After all, she has short silver gray hair. How is your search for the karaoke singer going? Don't mention it, it's a big failure. Frustrated and crying expression. Is it going so poorly? Kurosawa Hikaru found that her chat was quite interesting, and her emoticons also gave people a sense of intimacy that was easier to get along with. That karaoke god really doesn't want to be a singer. I don't know why. I want to find out, so I really want to meet him, so I followed the hot girl JK who is suspected to be related to him. It turns out that JK is very sharp. I just followed her today, and she found me in less than a minute. It's so embarrassing. What are you going to do next? It's difficult. She and the karaoke god seem to be a couple. They even had dinner together on Sunday, but she is very sharp and difficult to follow. So hard. Kurosawa Hikaru was suddenly a little surprised. So, Yuki has the talent to resist tracking? Do you want help? You are so handsome, JK should like you very much. Why don't you ask her friends for the name of the karaoke singer? I am very busy, and it is not good for college students to go to high school to find JK. I helped you like that before, but I was scared and cried in the haunted house. Expression of hugging legs and burying head and crying. Actually, it is like this, Ms. Runa is an agent, right? When she meets someone with talent and potential, she wants to sign him to be an artist. Kurosawa Hikaru was amused, knowing that she said that. She smiled and typed to ask. Yeah, what's wrong? What do you think of me? In fact, in addition to piano, I can also sing. Forget it, if I sign you, Chizuru will skin me alive. How do you know she will do that? That's what I think, based on my understanding of her. What if she agrees? Then I'll naturally be eager to sign you and pull you to become a star. How do you think my potential compares to the karaoke god? Just talking about your piano is invincible, but if you want to be a star, you still have to be able to sing and dance. You have a good physique, dancing should not be a problem, it depends on your singing level. How is your singing? Entry level. Entry level again, as good as your piano playing. Igarashi Runa has already understood Kurosawa Hikaru very well after spending time together on Saturday. This guy is obviously very good, but too modest. Almost. Let's try, and talk to Chizuru later. Igarashi Runa on the other side, after thinking about it, immediately moved his mind. If Kurosawa became a star, she felt that he would definitely become very popular. His looks were comparable to those of the top male idol stars, and his charm was even more overwhelming. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 74. Should I ask, or should you? Something worth considering. Let me ask. I'll check her tone first. It will be bad if you step on a landmine. Okay. Let's take it one step at a time. I didn't want to be a star before because I thought I had never been exposed to it in my life, and the status of neon stars is not high, so I am not interested, but now there are singing and piano introductions, it is worth a try. Kurosawa Hikaru held the phone and muttered to himself. This is the way he came up with, to divert Miss Runa's attention before she finds out that the karaoke singer is him. As long as Ms. Runa signs him, she will probably focus her energy on him and won't want to look for the karaoke singer again in a short time. As time goes by and he performs well, he might forget about the karaoke singer and completely dismantle this time bomb. Although he really doesn't want to be a singer or star, his manager is Miss Ninomiya's best friend, and Miss Runa is still trustworthy and easier to communicate with. In fact, he also has a selfish motive, that is, he feels that if he does this, he might have more opportunities to meet Miss Ninomiya. In addition, there was another thing that changed his concepts and thoughts. That was the dream of going surfing yesterday and having all the seats in the audience. It would be a waste to have these talents and not do something with them. In the past, he had no choice but to immerse himself in studying, but it was different now. What I have to admit is that after having the system, his attitude towards life has become more positive and confident. In fact, he has thought a lot about becoming a singer today and has a clear direction. He can be like Kenshi Yonju at the beginning, singing without showing up and being a mysterious singer. By doing this, he can make money selling songs and it won't affect his life. Not long after, Kurosawa Hikaru's cell phone made a sound. It's over. I just said a few words and Chizuru guessed that you came to me to talk about wanting to be an artist. A message from Igarashi Runa. Why? What did you say? Kurosawa Hikaru was a little confused. The next moment, a screenshot was sent. Kinzuru, Kurosawa is so good at playing the piano, do you think he can sing? I don't know either. If he could sing, he might be popular. He said he wanted to be a singer. Seeing this, Kurosawa Hikaru finally understood why he was exposed so quickly. The purpose is too strong, and anyone with a discerning eye can see it based on the causes and consequences. At this moment, a message came from Ninomiya Chizuru. You want to be a singer. In this sentence, thoughts and feelings cannot be seen through words, but the attitude of asking is very direct. That's the idea. Kurosawa thought for a while, but responded positively instead of escaping. Can you take care of your studies at the same time? Able. Then take it. After more than 10 seconds, Ninomiya Chizuru responded. Don't you object? Kurosawa Hikaru didn't expect her to agree so easily and was surprised. Because teacher Ninomiya's previous attitude was that he had good academic performance and could study for a doctorate and postgraduate entrance examination. You are just my student. I have no right to interfere with your life and choices. And if you can still take care of your studies, then I will support you no matter what you do. Even though the communication was not on the phone, but just text, Kurosawa Hikaru still felt the distant attitude from these words, as if he was distancing himself from the relationship between the two parties. Interpreted from another perspective, it is like what a tsundere character would say, I am just your XXX, not your girlfriend. What right do I have to interfere with your choice? Why do you seem to be losing your temper? Kurosawa Hikaru was a little surprised. After thinking about it, Kurosawa Hikaru directly made a voice call. If we continue to communicate through words like this, it always feels like it will end unclearly, and some ideas cannot be conveyed at all. The call request rang for more than 10 seconds before being connected. The voice connection was connected, but the other party made no sound. To me, you have the right to interfere with my choices. Your attitude and thoughts are very important to me. Kurosawa Hikaru took a deep breath and mustered up the courage to speak. If I didn't let you be a singer, wouldn't you be right? Are you making such a hasty decision? At this moment, Ninomiya Chizuru spoke up. It was the cold voice of Xiaoyuyan, with a hint of magnetism in her maturity, which was very beautiful. Your opinion will make me re-examine my choice. Why? Because is you. Kurosawa Hikaru would not follow her decision just because of it, but he valued Ninomiya-sensei very much, so he would want to know her opinion. Go ahead and let Lu-na sign you as a singer, and I'll feel more at ease. After hearing these words, Ninomiya Chizuru pondered for a while and said slowly. Is this what you mean? I'm very pleased that you can take the teacher's opinion seriously. But since you can take care of your studies at the same time, and you have such talent and potential, I really have no reason to stop you. Besides, in the history of Dongda, there are also some seniors who became entertainers and singers. Ninomiya Chizuru felt that he valued her attitude and opinions, and her cold attitude became warmer, and she said in a deep voice. Kurosawa Hikaru felt through her voice and words that she was not being arrogant or making trouble. The major you chose in college doesn't mean you can only do this for the rest of your life. Since you met Runa and found that you might be able to be an artist, then go for it. When the opportunity comes, you must pay attention to it so that you won't regret it in life. I understand. Seeing her become a teacher and impart life experience, Kurosawa Hikaru also benefited. In fact, that's what he thought. In the past, he had no energy to learn anything else except studying, so he could only think about working in an industry related to economics after graduation. But now he has different talents, so he has more choices in life. What did you do yesterday? After talking about this, Ninomiya Chizuru asked casually. My cousin from my hometown came to Tokyo, and I took her to play for a long time. When Kurosawa Hikaru heard this, his heart tightened, and then he responded without thinking. He had considered the situation before, when Ninomiya Chizuru asked about his schedule. Where did you go? The beach. Why didn't you get tanned? I put on sunscreen. I see. Ninomiya Chizuru's soft voice seemed thoughtful, and it was hard to guess what she was thinking, and it was unknown whether she believed it or not. I'll go tell Miss Runa, she must be waiting anxiously, because she was exposed just after telling you. Kurosawa Hikaru felt a little guilty and changed the subject. Go ahead. Ninomiya Chizuru thought it made sense, and she was still in school, so it was not good to talk for too long, lest she be seen, so she agreed. Huh. As the call was hung up, Kurosawa Hikaru let out a long sigh. It shouldn't be exposed, right? Kurosawa Hikaru recalled his response and tone just now, and felt a little worried and suspicious. Compared to the ease with which he lied to Xiaoyuki, lying to Mr. Ninomiya made him feel stressed. Because Xiaoyuki was more innocent and cutely stupid. Mr. Ninomiya was more capable and smart. I am asking for votes and reading. The title is only temporarily changed and will be changed back later. Another point is that the protagonist's route is to be a masked singer, without showing his face, which will not affect the dating task. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 75. Kurosawa Hikaru hung up the call and sent another message to Miss Runa. Really or not? Chizuru agreed. Agreed. Take a screenshot. I told her by voice. I'll ask her. After going back and forth like this, with a phone call, the matter was finally settled. If you want to be an artist, I will naturally welcome you with both hands. Ms. Runa, who do you think has more potential compared to me or the karaoke singer? Kurosawa Hikaru deliberately used contrast to draw her attention to him. It's hard to say. His singing skills are very strong. If he is around 10 or 20 years old, he is a genius and a capable person. But your piano skills are very strong. Although I don't know how good they are, if you are good at using them, if you do, you can make your way, the key is that you are handsome. I'm better than him. Kurosawa Hikaru is sure of this. After all, he is the god of karaoke singing. He only showed off his singing voice. Now, he also has skills like piano. So confident? This is not like you. Since he doesn't want to be a singer so much, let me be the singer. Then he will regret it. You are very ambitious. When will you be free? Let's meet and talk, and find a few teachers to check your level. Then we can sign a contract and make a plan. On Friday, I have no classes after 5 p.m. How many more days are there? I promised Miss Ninomiya that I will not neglect my studies. That's right. I'll pick you up then. It might be close to the weekend, so it's easier for everyone to arrange their time. Miss Runa, don't go looking for that karaoke singer. Miss Runa is looking for him, but he doesn't appreciate it. He's really ignorant. It's not his fault. After all, I took the initiative to find him. Everyone has his own ambitions. Since he doesn't want to be a singer, I'd better not provoke him. After hearing these words, Igarashi Runa found that he was quite protective of her, and she was a little happy, but she was also explaining for others. Even though she was rejected by the karaoke singer, she still insisted on finding out the root cause of her identity. In fact, she wanted to find out the reason why the other party didn't want to be a singer. What if it could be changed? As a talent scout, it is good luck in the industry to be able to discover a talent. If she can make the karaoke singer famous and famous in the music world, she will not bury her talents and talents. Have I gone too far? Haha, it's okay. He can't hear you anyway. Anyway, let me see how powerful you are on Friday. No problem. We agreed to meet and hung up the phone. It's done. When you sing, just change the way you sing, and it should be solved satisfactorily. The time bomb was successfully defused, and Kurosawa breathed a sigh of relief. He is very grateful and has a good impression of Miss Runa, thinking she is a good person. After all, on Saturday's date, although she came with the light bulb as best friends, she went against the norm and acted as a wingman, even at great expense. Whether it was driving back and forth, going to the haunted house, adjusting the atmosphere throughout the day, or even helping him play the piano on stage at the end, it was all a big effort. After finishing the pork chop with rice, he went to the kitchen to wash the dishes and tidy up, and then Kurosawa Hikaru went to take a shower. After taking a shower, he sat at a desk again, facing his notebook, and started doing homework. Homework in college is not as frequent as in junior high school and high school, but when there is homework, it is often more complicated and takes a week or two to complete. It wasn't until 10 o'clock in the evening that Kurosawa's cell phone suddenly vibrated several times. "Brother Guang, what are you doing?" That was the line message sent by Xiaoyuki. "Do your homework. Miss Igarashi called me just now." "What did she say?" "She apologized to me for following me today, and then said she would never do it again, and the money would be treated as apology fee." "What should I do?" "She also asked me to give you her business card. If you figure it out sometime, if you want to be a singer, just contact her, she is always waiting for you. Since she said it was an apology fee, just accept it. That's 50,000. It's a lot of money for high school students, but people may not care about that. But she gave it to you because she wanted to meet you. I'll give it to you next time we meet. Then treat it as funds for the next date and spend it together then." Kurosawa Hikaru found that she really didn't dare to accept it, so he thought of an explanation. "Aha!" Hearing this statement, Xiaoyuki was immediately moved. "Where should we go on our next date?" "Brother Guang, you said before that you are good at archery. Shall we go to the archery dojo?" "You can go to the archery dojo. I'll think about it again and let you know after I decide." "Okay, then you continue to do your homework, I'm going to take a shower. Go. At this point in the conversation, there was no more words left. Xiaoyuki has the idea of going out on a date, why doesn't the mission trigger? Kurosawa put down his phone and thought about the situation just now, feeling a little confused. It doesn't mean that he has to have a date mission before he is willing to go out with Sayuki, but if there is a mission, it is naturally better. The triggering of the dating task is related to the location and preferences. Ichi knows Yuki just wants to meet the host. In fact, she is not interested in the archery dojo at all, so it is difficult to form valuable memories. As he was confused, the system spoke. There is such a saying, in other words, what you are pursuing is valuable memories. Not every date can have precious and beautiful memories. The system did not answer this question, but just calmly narrated. That makes sense. Kurosawa Hikaru thought for a while and had some ideas. This sentence also has another meaning, not every date can trigger the task. If you want to trigger the task, you must start according to the other party's preferences, and the choice of location cannot be too casual. It's like you meet a girl on a date on the weekend, but you take her to watch a baseball game or a football game. Maybe it's a date, but it's an occasion that girls are generally not interested in, so it's obviously not qualified. After realizing this, Kurosawa Hikaru remembered the concept of preferences and quickly continued to bury his head in his homework. In addition, he made another discovery. Even if he had an appointment with a girl, it would not necessarily trigger the task when he met. For example, even though he and Miss Runa agreed to meet on Friday, the system did not respond. The reason for this is probably because even if Miss Runa had a good impression of him, it was just a good impression at best, and she had no intention of dating him at all. However, he was not bothered by this. After all, Miss Runa was Ninomiya Chizuru's best friend. If he triggered a dating task with Miss Runa, it would be even more complicated, and he would not be able to do the task. After all, each dating task has a target requirement, from the beginning of Sayuki's knee pillow, Ninomiya teacher hugging his arm, to applying sunscreen. These are things that opposite sexes do to warm up their relationship. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 76. The next day, Kurosawa Hikaru came to school early in the morning. As soon as he arrived at the required course classroom, Yuta Miyazaki greeted the empty seat next to him. Ninomiya-sensei seems to be in a good mood today, Yuta Miyazaki said impatiently as he sat down. How did you know? I saw her before I came to the classroom today. That's it. Also, read the book 100 times. Kurosawa Hikaru thought for a while, realized that the effect of the phone call last night was pretty good, and said again. I see. Yuta Miyazaki quickly interrupted before he could finish speaking. There will be no teacher Ninomiya in Tuesday's class. After all, she is still a lecturer and her qualifications are not high enough. The one-day course was over in the blink of an eye. At 3:20 in the afternoon, Kurosawa's class ended. Are you going to be a tutor for that young lady next? As he stood up to pack his school bag, Miyazaki Yuta was a little curious. Right. What's her home like? A large duplex apartment in the city center with extremely luxurious decoration, various famous paintings and antiques, a specially equipped elevator, and a maid. What does that maid look like? Yuta Miyazaki could guess what was going on in front of her. When she heard the maid, she couldn't help but ask more questions. College boys are at an age when they are full of longing for the opposite sex. She's pretty, and very professional. The clothes she wears are completely different from the maids in the maid cafe. Kurosawa Hikaru thought about it for a moment and said. If you have money, do you still have a maid to take care of you? Tisk, tisk, I'm so happy. After learning about this situation, Miyazaki Yuta couldn't help but sigh. This kind of conversation made Kurosawa Hikaru a little stunned. He always felt that it was the same as last Thursday. I'm going to work part-time, bye. However, he did not deny it, he just packed up his things and said goodbye to him. On the way out of school, Kurosawa Hikaru also greeted his schoolmates and classmates from time to time. Along the way, he was also thinking about a question. Are you really happy if you have money and a maid to take care of you? At least in his opinion, it was unhappy. Perhaps it is because I have been holding a silver spoon in my mouth since I was a child, opening my mouth when food comes, stretching out my hands when clothes come, and all requests will be met. But the future situation of Siphon Jayuan is very bad in his opinion. Maid is a helper in taking care of life, but she is also the embodiment of surveillance. I have to learn different things every day, and there is no time to rest even after school. There is no freedom at all. As a bystander, he felt tired watching this kind of life, and he didn't know how the person involved felt. At 4:15 p.m., Hikaru Kurosawa arrived at a high-end apartment in the city center. Swipe your card to enter the independent elevator and go to the 32nd floor. The maid of the Shifenjin family, Sayaka Akai, is already waiting. Another identity test. Although a discerning person can tell at a glance whether it is her, she is still very rigorous in her work. Has anything good happened to Mr. Kurosawa recently? After confirming her identity, Sayaka Akai, who had short hair and a cold and serious temperament, asked. She was wearing a maid outfit. She looked very beautiful, but it gave people an inexplicable sense of oppression. Why would you say so? Kurosawa Hikaru turned a blind eye to the sense of oppression and felt puzzled when he heard this. Your waist and neck become straighter, your steps become smoother and more powerful, and your eyes become more energetic and sharp. Akai Sayaka asked the doubts in her heart. She had an idea about this matter last Thursday, but she couldn't ask it out at that time. But now it seems that Mr. Kurosawa has indeed changed, a change from the inside out, not such a superficial difference in appearance. Miss Akai is so observant. In fact, I started to exercise recently. Kurosawa Hikaru didn't expect that she would notice this, so he smiled slightly and said. Fitness is really good for building self-confidence, please follow me. Akai Sayaka didn't take this statement seriously, she just agreed and led the way. Not long after, he entered the study again, and the maid turned and left to find the eldest lady. Staying alone in the study, Kurosawa Hikaru did not sit down, but walked around. He didn't touch anything, just walked around with his school bag and looked at the environment in the room. In the past, he didn't care about the layout of this room at all. After all, he gave lectures to the eldest lady of Siphon Jayuan, mainly using his previous textbooks in the third year of high school as tutoring materials. As for the books in the study, they were of no use to him. It's quite hidden. Kurosawa Hikari came to a corner and raised his head to look at the camera hidden in the corner of the bookcase. This is hidden very deep, and if you don't look for it carefully, you will easily miss it. After all, who would have thought that there is a camera in the study room? After a while, there was a knock on the door. Sifenuen Marai, who had black hair like a waterfall, bright red eyes, a beautiful appearance, and a gorgeous temperament, walked in wearing a blue dress. Miss Siphon Jayuan. Kurosawa Hikaru, who had already returned to sit down at the desk, saw her and said hello. What's the class today? Sifenuen walked to the desk in the future, pulled out a chair and sat down with a very cold attitude. Academic class. Kurosawa said. After hearing this answer, Siphon Jayuan opened the drawer in the future and took out the books and teaching materials for academic classes. Immediately afterwards, the two people started class. Sayaka Akai stood far behind as usual, and she did not sit down. She was like an emotionless robot, standing there, staring here. The class time passed quickly, and both of them were seriously involved in it, making time fly by. In a blink of an eye, it was 6 o'clock, and Sayaka Akai walked out of the study because she had to prepare dinner. As she walked out of the room and closed the door, Saifanjai Yuan Marai's snow-white ears under the black hair moved, and her beautiful red eyes like gems tilted and glanced at the man beside her. Although the episode last Thursday was short, the communication during that period made her very happy. Because of this, she was already looking forward to today's class during the weekend. However, Kurosawa Hikaru entered the state and had no intention of stopping. Hello. After waiting for a few minutes, Saifanjai Yuan Marai found that his mouth was still talking balabalali about the contents of the textbook, and he couldn't hold it anymore. The maid left for only half an hour. During this period, every minute and every second is precious. Any questions? Kurosawa Hikari asked when he came to his senses. Aren't you going to do that today? Sifenuen hesitated for a few seconds in the future. Although he was extremely entangled, he still took the initiative to speak and spoke in a low voice. She had been raised as a lady since she was a child, and her behavior was relatively reserved, but in this case, she longed for the short rest and entertainment. That's right, it's entertainment. Even if Kurosawa Hikaru is just chatting with her, as long as it's something other than academic work, it's entertainment. I was wondering if you didn't like chatting with me, so I didn't dare to say anything. Kurosawa Hikaru saw her hesitantly bringing it up, and explained with a slight smile. I don't really like it, I just want to take a break. Saifanjai Yuan future will not admit this statement. What do you want to talk about today? Seeing that she was quite arrogant, Kurosawa didn't expose her, but asked patiently. When the Masked Singer was writing the outline, it was a decision that was made, not a spur of the moment or a whim. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 77. Can you also shoot arrows? Saifanjai Yuan Marai noticed this matter in the past few days. In fact, the calluses she left for archery practice were very light. After all, she skinned her skin every day and paid special attention to maintenance. But even so, Kurosawa Hikaru still figured it out, and 9 times out of 10 he was an expert. After all, laymen don't even know what kind of cocoons will be left by long-term archery. You know a little bit, I learned it when I was a kid. Kurosawa thought for a while and felt that it was necessary to set the stage. Unlike other girls, the future family of Saifanjai Yuan has a big family and a big business, so many things can be investigated. So do you still shoot arrows? Saifanjai Yuan didn't think much about it in the future and just asked. Have fun once in a while. Kurosawa's answer was very conservative. In fact, he had never touched a bow so far, only this skill. Where do you shoot arrows? I only played for a while when I returned to my hometown. There are no designated places in Tokyo. I'm in the archery club of the school, and I train at the Fengzui dojo on Sundays. I can understand that you want me to watch you shoot archery on Sunday. After hearing her explanation, Kurosawa Hikaru thought about it and joked. Didn't you ask me where I shot arrows last week? Who wanted you to come and see me? Saifanjai Yuan Marai rolled his eyes at him, calmly. At this moment, a line of words appeared in front of Kurosawa Hikaru, which was a new mission. Dating mission, first date with Saifanjai Yuan Marai. Mission goal, meet on Sunday at the Feng Chai dojo. Let her help you tie your hakama belt. Hit her heart with an arrow. Make her look at you with admiration. Task deadline, 23:59 on Sunday. Timeout will be considered a failure. Dating funds, entry-level archery, entry-level musical instrument piano, term experience card. Mission rewards, entry-level archery, entry-level musical instrument, piano, permanent, the author's digression, the reward is correct, the same reward will upgrade skills. The emergence of the state mission directly revealed Saifanjai Yuan's future thoughts. Obviously, she really wanted Kurosawa Hikaru to go to the archery dojo and meet him somewhere other than the study, so that he could see her archery skills. Kurosawa glanced at the content. Some accidents would trigger tasks. Although he was confused about the funds and rewards, he didn't care about it for the time being. He would ask again when he was free. How are your archery skills? Realizing her true thoughts, Kurosawa Hikaru pretended not to realize it and was just curious. Definitely better than you. Saifunjayuan Mirai hummed somewhat complacently regarding this issue. She has been learning archery since she was a child, and her level is among the best in national competitions. She may not be the best in her age group, but she has to learn a lot after all, and her level is already extremely high. Ha ha ha, I really want to see it if I have the chance. Seeing her smug expression, Kurosawa Hikaru suddenly wanted to see her discover that he was very powerful and smiled. You want to see me wearing a hakama suit, right? Just like the boys in school. Seeing that his smile was natural and not like the fake smiles of other teachers, Saifunjayuan Mirai took a second look and questioned. Then I want to see it too. Kurosawa Hikaru also had some expectations for this. After all, Kyoto Hakama is a specific uniform that is different from everyday clothing. And so far, he has never seen the future of Saifunjayuan outside this apartment, and he is a little curious about what it will be like. You really dare to admit it? Are all college students so thick-skinned? Sensing his expectation, Saifunjayuan suddenly felt a little guilty and uneasy in the future, and didn't want him to go see it. Although she had been seen by countless people wearing hakama clothes at school and during competitions, she somehow didn't want them to see the other side of her. Only the boys in your school are allowed to see you wearing hakama clothes, but not me. That's not true. The wind-chasing dojo on Sunday? I'll go check it out then. Can ordinary people enter? Normal people are not allowed in because it is a private dojo. Then how can we get in? As a student or someone related to Kyoto, at least you can't be an unrelated person. It seems that it will be difficult to go to the dojo on Sunday to watch you shoot. I have to think of a way. You are a college student. If you join the All Japan Student Kyoto League, you should be able to get in. Seeing that he didn't know what to do, Saifunjayuan couldn't help but give him some advice in the future. To be honest, she was very confused. Afraid that he will come, but also afraid that he will not come. Good. Seeing her give the direction, Kurosawa was stunned for a moment and then suddenly smiled. Seeing that he was smiling again, Sifenun opened his mouth in the future, wanting to say why he loved to laugh so much. He was too frivolous, but he choked on the words again. What if he didn't dare to smile after saying that? That would be bad. After all, that smile was quite nice, very sunny and pure, not the fake smile she usually saw. By the way, can't you tell the dojo to let me in? Kurosawa Hikaru thought of the most direct method. As the future of Saifunjayuan, although it is a private dojo, it should not be a big problem for one person to visit. Miss Akai is also following me. What will she think if she finds out that I take the initiative to let you in? Then if I show up at the dojo, won't she think too much about it? At least it's better than me asking you to come in. If you're scared, you don't have to come. Anyway, I didn't expect you to come in the first place. Saifunjayuan Mirai thought he was afraid of trouble, so he said, I will definitely go, this Sunday. Seeing that she was saying one thing and thinking another, Kurosawa Hikaru also made up his mind. This girl has a strong desire to protect herself. If things go wrong or if there are signs that something is not right, she will immediately distance herself from it and deny it. Although it's like a tsundere, it's different. After all, there are no tsunderes in reality. Seeing him make a decision, Saifunjayuan Mirai didn't continue the topic, so as not to show that she was looking forward to it. Why did you suddenly talk to me last week and let me rest? Then, she asked another question. In fact, there were teachers who tried to talk to her and get closer to her in the past. But the teacher's intention was too obvious. It was obvious that he wanted to pursue her, a rich girl, and get to the top in one step, so she went to report directly. But Kurosawa Hikaru gave people a different feeling. It was not flattering, but more like suddenly taking off the identity of a teacher and talking to you like a friend. That attitude gave people a different feeling. There was no purpose, nor did it seem like he liked you or coveted something from you. He just chatted with you simply. It's just that I suddenly realized that you should be very tired, and I want you to combine work and rest. Although there is not much time, I also want you to relax and rest for a while. Kurosawa Hikaru was also on a whim at the time and noticed her situation. Aren't you afraid that I would be disgusted by this and report it directly to my mother? No one doesn't like to rest. Human nature is lazy. Kurosawa Hikaru was not worried about this. You said something that doesn't sound like a teacher would say. Really? But I think you are right. Shifunjayuan Marai's mouth corners slightly raised, a little happy. The reward is not written wrong. The same reward will upgrade skills. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 78. As the questions ended, they chatted freely, talking about whatever came to mind. Miss Akai is coming soon. Not long after, Saifunjayuan Marai glanced at the clock on the wall and said. Is she always so punctual when cooking? Half an hour, unless it's a full banquet, that's enough time for dinner for 3 people. Actually, what I mean is, does she have obsessive-compulsive disorder or why? Meal for 3 people can be prepared in 20 minutes for someone who knows how to cook. Kurosawa Hikaru knows how to cook, and he knows very well that dinner in this house is very simple. For example, Miss Saifunjayuan ate very little, and he ate simply, mostly rice bowls, which were easier to finish with soup and gravy. Is that so? Knock knock. Just then, there was a knock on the door. Mr. Kurosawa, dinner is ready. Sayaka Akai said after knocking on the door to say hello and walking in. Kurosawa Hikaru glanced at the clock on the wall. It happened to be 6:30, which was a bit intriguing. Could it be that Miss Akai also wants to give Miss Shifunjayuan some time not to monitor her? With this question in mind, they left the study and went to have dinner. Maybe it was because he had a small appetite, or maybe he ate quickly, but Sifenuen cooked dinner alone in front of the dining table in the future within 10 minutes. Then, she followed the maid back to the room upstairs. Before 7:30, Kurosawa had nearly an hour of rest. While eating dinner, his phone vibrated. Brother Guang, what are you doing? Xiaoyuki's daily message came. I'm working as a tutor, I'm eating now, and I have to continue taking classes later. Then I won't bother you anymore. Send me a message when you get home. Yes, sir. Hee hee, cartoon cat laughing expression. Xiaoyuki was very happy about Kurosawa Hikari's naughty behavior. After chatting with her, Kurosawa Hikaru thought for a while and opened another chat interface. Miss Ninomiya. Call the teacher. Have you had dinner? Have eaten. What are you doing? Check the homework. You should be working as a tutor now, right? Are you so free? I'm not very idle, I just suddenly thought about what I was doing. Kurosawa Hikaru felt that it was necessary for him to contact Miss Ninomiya, even if it was just for a casual chat, he wanted to make his presence felt. Unlike Xiaoyuki's enthusiasm, teacher Ninomiya is more reserved, and due to his status, he cannot chat with him naturally. Work hard, it's not that easy to be a teacher. Ninomiya Chizuru's reply was calm, with a bit of critical seriousness. Clear. Although I don't know if she noticed that I missed you hidden in the words, but Kurosawa Hikaru didn't pay much attention to it. When dealing with Miss Ninomiya, you should not be too frivolous and should pay attention to your sense of propriety. After chatting here, he put his phone back in his pocket and started eating. While eating, he thought about the new mission he had just triggered, fell into deep thought, and recalled these dates. An interesting story about showing off her acting skills with Yuki at karaoke. At Fuji-Q amusement park, holding hands with Mr. Ninomiya on the roller coaster, carrying someone in a haunted house, and her cute appearance that mistakenly thought she was being rejected, was scared and aggrieved, and showed great contrast. In the locker room at the seaside, my heart beat faster while applying sunscreen. I felt a sense of accomplishment when surfing together, and on the way home, Yuki sat on the subway and fell asleep leaning on his shoulder sweetly. Recalling these things, Kurosawa Hikaru was in a good mood, and even laughed when he recalled them. It has to be said that these dates are all wonderful, but the number of them continues to increase. From one person at the beginning, it has grown to 3 people now. I won't be hit with a knife in the future, right? Thinking about going to the archery dojo this week and going on a date with a third girl, Kurosawa Hikaru always felt like he was treading 3 different paths. Although he currently has no actual relationship with Xiaoyuki, Miss Ninomiya, and Miss Shifenjian, they only dated once or twice, but if this situation continues, he doesn't know what will happen. At the same time, Xiaoyuki was lying on the bed at home playing with her mobile phone, her long legs without shoes and socks, kicking up and down in the air. She had a smile on her lips, humming a song, and was chatting in the group about her Sunday date. Such as helping each other put on sunscreen, swimming together, and she learned to surf. Different from her previous fabrications, at this moment she was truly telling her actual experience, which made people feel particularly excited and at ease. You've said it several times, and you still don't get tired of it. As the leader of the Spice Girls 4, Akazuki Aoi couldn't help but sigh when she saw her indulging in Kurosawa Hikaru's surfing handsomeness. She trusted Kurosawa Hikaru and admired him even more. Because her family is relatively wealthy, it's not like she has never seen elites before, but elites with promising futures like Kurosawa Hikaru are rare. Lan and Hitomi also admired Kurosawa Hikaru, and had no doubts at all. Ninomiya Chizuru was sitting at the desk. Under the light, she was wearing a pair of rimless glasses. She held the mouse in her white and slender hand and clicked up and down with her index finger. However, the force was very light, not clicking on the left mouse button, but more like beating a certain rhythm. This is a happy and joyful beat. Kurosawa Hikaru took the initiative to contact her just now. Although they didn't talk about much, it was enough for her. Really idle. After working for a while, she looked sideways and glanced at the message on her phone again, muttering. Immediately, she continued to immerse herself in work. In the room of the luxury apartment, Shifenji Yuenmurai was doing daily flexibility exercises. Her expression was very indifferent, without any fluctuations. Even if she stood by the wall, leaned her legs against the wall, and raised them high to do a standing split, she had no reaction and sense of accomplishment, as if it was a matter of course. Her tall, slender body was extremely soft. The maid stood aside, not speaking, just looking at her. After doing 15 minutes of flexibility training, she stopped, breathing a little disordered and panting. Maintaining some difficult movements is very physically demanding. She brought her a glass of water, and then Akai Sayaka opened the closet and began to take out 2 sets of clothes from it. I don't want any of them. The one on the right. Soon, Shifenji Yuenmurai chose a set of suspender nightgown. Is this one too short? My shoulders are all exposed. Then I'll go with the one on the left. Shifenji Yuenmurai thought about it and felt that it made sense, so she changed her choice and changed to a dress that only exposed a small part of her arms. Although it would be nice to suddenly wear a suspender dress, but if her shoulders were exposed, that guy might think she was a frivolous girl. After a rest, when her body cooled down a little, Shifenji Yuenmurai stood up and took a shower. Not long after, she finished her shower, put on her nightgown, asked Akai Sayaka to help her blow dry her hair, and began to apply body lotion with her hands. After everything was done, They walked out of the room around 7:30. Shifunjayuan Mirai followed Akai Sayaka and walked down from upstairs step by step. She had just finished her shower and had an extraordinary temperament. There was a dignified lady's demeanor in her every move. "Mr. Kurosawa, it's time to continue the class." Akai Sayaka walked in front and greeted. "Yes." Kurosawa Hikaru raised his head and looked at Shifunjayuan Mirai, and found that her eyes were more lively and no longer cold and numb. He immediately responded and stood up. "The release date has been decided, it will be the 1st of next month. I'll give you an advance notice that there will be a lot of updates after the release. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 79. After dinner, the evening classes were also very formal. Even though the maid Sayaka Akai was watching, she couldn't see any clues. Class resumes at 7:30 and lasts until 10:30. As the day's part-time job was coming to an end, Mirai Shifunjin quietly pulled out Kurosawa Hikaru's notebook and wrote something down. "Do you think this is the right way for me to solve the problem? At 13 o'clock, the coach will give private instruction in the morning, and only in the afternoon will others be allowed to enter the venue. In the notebook, there are no questions and answers at all, but a time." "Yes, continue like this." After reading the content, Kurosawa Hikaru nodded. Mr. Kurosawa, the current time is 10:28. At the same time, while they finished exchanging a question, Sayaka Akai, who was standing behind, gave a reminder. After a few procedural questions, Kurosawa Hikaru was led out of the study by the maid. "This is today's pay." In front of the elevator, the maid handed an envelope to Kurosawa Hikari. "Thank you." Kurosawa Hikaru took it over without opening it, showing that he still had some trust. He stuffed the envelope into his briefcase and walked in as the elevator arrived. "I wish you have a nice trip." Just when the elevator door closed, Sayaka Akai lowered her head slightly and bowed to him goodbye. Although it was the same honorific as before, Kurosawa Hikaru felt that her attitude towards him was more friendly. The elevator door closed, and Kurosawa Hikaru went downstairs. As he walked out of the luxurious apartment, he glanced back thoughtfully, but left without staying long. Because it was still early, he walked to the subway station. At 10:50, Kurosawa Hikaru returned home, as usual. Living alone, he would not shout when he came home, "I'm back," such meaningless words. "System, I have questions." Finally returning home, Kurosawa pulled off his tie, put on his slippers, walked to the bed and sat down, and said, "I'm going on a date with Miss Shifunjayuan at the archery dojo. I have all the mission rewards. What will happen after I complete the mission?" Kurosawa Hikaru was confused about this matter when he was at Shifunjayuan's house. This date task, whether it is archery or piano, are skills he already possesses. Getting the same reward will upgrade the skill. Faced with the formal question, the system spoke up. "In other words, if I complete the mission, my archery skills will be upgraded to the perfect level, and my piano skills will be upgraded to the proficient level." "Yes. Perfect level skills." Kurosawa Hikaru was a little surprised. He didn't expect to have his first perfect level skill so soon. According to his original calculation, he still doesn't know how long it will take. Immediately afterwards, he felt eager to try. He was curious about how powerful the perfect level of archery could be. With this motivation, he took a shower and sent a message to Xiaoyuki, explaining that he was home. The two chatted for a while, then stopped at 11:30 and went to sleep. The next day, Kurosawa Hikari arrived at school early in the morning. The first class was a different elective class from Miyazaki Yuta, so I didn't meet him. In the second period, there was the same lesson. Does our school have a Kyoto club? As they met and sat down together to wait for class, Kurosawa Hikaru asked. Really? There shouldn't be any university in Neon that doesn't have a Kyoto club, why do you suddenly ask about this? When Yuta Miyazaki heard this question, he did not answer immediately, but was curious. For Neon, there are 5 martial arts that are very traditional and popular. Judo, Karate, Kendo, Kyudo, Aikido. Among them, although Kyudo is relatively unpopular, it seems to be invisible on weekdays, but it actually exists. Do you know where it is? I plan to go and have a look, Kurosawa Hikaru asked without explaining. Of course I know, right here. Yuta Miyazaki told him a location. Okay. Aren't you the type who doesn't join the club? Could it be that which girl from the Kyoto club interests you? I understand, girls look handsome and beautiful in hakama clothes, which has a different aesthetic from kimonos. Pointing out the location to him, Yuta Miyazaki nodded repeatedly with his arms folded. I'm not going there for any girl. Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head slightly, clearing away the suspicion of impure motives. In fact, even if the mission was not triggered yesterday, sooner or later he would go to the archery department to take a look. After all, his only proficiency level skill, if he didn't go to such a designated place, he would have no chance to use it and test its power. Then why are you looking for the Kyoto club? Cultivation of sentiment. If you really want to cultivate your sentiments, you might as well learn tea ceremony, flower arrangement, and calligraphy. I have practiced Kyoto before. In order to stop him from continuing to talk and ramble, Kurosawa simply said. What a pity. I have something to do after school. Otherwise, I really want to see how you shoot. What are you going to do after school? Go shopping. 1 person. 2 people, with a girl. Kurosawa Hikaru wondered if he had heard wrongly and looked at him in shock. In fact, Yuta Miyazaki is not an ugly man, but he is not a handsome man either. He has a relatively ordinary appearance, a bit like a nerd and an honest person. But Kurosawa Hikaru knew his personality very well. He was cheerful when chatting with his peers, but he was not good at dealing with girls. What's that look in your eyes? Seeing his shocked expression, Miyazaki Yuta laughed and scolded him and punched him. Then, he put one hand on Kurosawa Hikaru's shoulder, looked around, and whispered. Let me tell you, Tokyo University students are super popular. Last night, a girl added me as a line friend, saying that she was introduced by a friend. She was curious about me, so I agreed. As a result, I chatted with her for a whole night, only to find out that she was actually a school beauty from another school. What's the other party's name? Hearing this, Kurosawa Hikaru pondered for a few seconds and asked on a whim. Girls from other universities, school beauties, added line friends after being introduced by others, he always felt that this way was familiar. Why are you asking this? Miyazaki Yuta, who found that he was interested and wanted to show off, immediately became alert. If Kurosawa Hikaru was interested in the girls he knew, he would not have the confidence to compete for them. Don't worry, I don't want to compete with you, I'm just a little curious about your situation. Her name is Akari Tsumuji Kirika, she is the school beauty of Shimizu Women's University. Let me tell you, her photos are super beautiful and her voice is very sweet. Miyazaki Yuta thought about it and believed him, so he continued excitedly. He didn't need to finish his words, just a name. Kurosawa Hikari saw the situation clearly. It's her. Is this female sea king still cheating people by online dating? Kurosawa Hikari narrowed his eyes. It's normal to think about it. The other party can't give up the activity so easily. After all, it's profitable. If she asks you to buy a gift or give her something, don't agree. After a pause, Kurosawa Hikari reminded. Why? Miyazaki Yuta was puzzled. Be careful of being cheated. No way. She has such a nice voice and she is so beautiful. If you don't see her after school today, and she suddenly says she can't come because of something urgent, don't buy anything for her, and don't spend a penny on her." Kurosawa Mitsuru glanced at him, not wanting to comment on his appearance and voice, and warned him. "Why?" Miyazaki Yuta was puzzled when he saw his serious face. "If a girl really likes you, she will never let you spend money recklessly, and will only think about saving money for you. Is that so?" Miyazaki Yuta has never been in a relationship since he was a child. Seeing that he was serious, he also seemed to understand. "Originally, I could only update twice a day before the release, and I couldn't update more, which would affect the increase in the number of words, but considering everyone's doubts about the task rewards, I will update one more chapter today. I ask for monthly tickets and recommendation tickets. Thank you very much. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 80. The one-day course ended quickly. Remember, you may be a liar before you meet a real person. But when it comes to money, you must be vigilant and never give her a gift. Do you understand? As school ended in the afternoon, Kurosawa Hikaru picked up his school bag and gave another warning. I understand, the photos are all fake. Only when you see the real person are they real. Miyazaki Yuta was persuaded for a long time, but he also remembered it. During the lunch break and between classes, Kurosawa would lecture him, impart experience, and even give him an example of a friend who had been deceived. Good luck. Kurosawa patted him on the shoulder and left his seat to take action. He did not say clearly that a Karitsu Mujika is the female sea king and a female liar. Some things are useless just by talking about them. Yuta Miyazaki must experience them personally and see through them. You have to know how good this female sea queen is at catching men. He has experienced it before. And if he said this directly, wouldn't it be equivalent to admitting in disguise that he had also been deceived? It's a pity that his schedule this week is basically full. Otherwise, he would have to go with Yuta Miyazaki to see if the female Neptune would show up and catch her on the spot. Thursday 1800 hours. I joined the Kyoto Club. As the maid left, Kurosawa Hikaru met Shifunjin Mirai's long-awaited eyes and said with a smile. So fast. Saifunjiyuan Mirai did not expect that this would be the start of the chat during today's break, and he was a little surprised. Is this action too efficient? I just said this on Tuesday night, and it was done just one day later? There aren't many people in the Kyoto Club at Tokyo University. I told them that I had experience before, and after they let me try shooting, they agreed for me to join. Kurosawa Hikaru nodded slightly and explained. Joining a club is different from registering an alliance, right? The coach invited me to register. I just took a photo and wrote my name. He told me that the registration was successful during lunch break today. Could it be that you are actually quite good at archery? Realizing that the coach invited him to register, Shifunjin Mirai thought for a while and asked. In Nihon Kyoto, the requirements for high school students are relatively simple. They only focus on the target hit rate and the shooting ceremony. Usually, if you hit the target, it will be counted as an O, and if you miss the target, it will be counted as an X. However, college student Kyoto is close to a profession and adopts a more strict scoring system. Under this premise, Kurosawa Hikaru went to test fire. In such a short period of time, he received an invitation from the coach to register to join the all-student company. It was obviously not as simple as a beginner. In fact, beginners of Kyoto usually have to lay the foundation, and depending on their talent, it can take anywhere from a week to 3 months before they can start archery. I consider myself proficient in archery. Kurosawa didn't deny it and nodded. That's really exciting. Seeing that he was quite confident, Saifunjiyuan did not attack him in the future, but raised the corner of his mouth. In terms of level, she ranks among the top in the country among high school students, and many college students cannot compare with her. Kyudo is an aristocratic sport that emphasizes self-cultivation, temperament, deportment, and mental toughness, so she has been learning archery since she was a child. Compared to Hikaru Kurosawa, who only occasionally shoots arrows when he returns to his hometown, she must be much stronger. However, it doesn't matter who is stronger and who is weaker. The key is that she and Kurosawa Hikaru can meet somewhere other than this home, just like friends. With this good start, their chat atmosphere became more relaxed and interesting. However, the break was short-lived. For Saifanjayu in future, her rest time is only half an hour on Tuesdays and Thursdays. In addition, Kurosawa Hikaru also taught her seriously. A good balance between work and rest is a good method, but you must also be careful not to overdo it. Try this question and see. When 10:30 was approaching, Kurosawa Hikaru wrote something in a notebook and pushed it in front of her. See you on Sunday. There is a sentence written on the paper. See you on Sunday. Saifanjayuan's heart beat faster in the future and he wrote the same words. Although the handwriting is different, the content and meaning are the same. She was looking forward to the meeting on Sunday. For her, this was an experience she had not had in many years since elementary school. On Friday, during lunch break, Kurosawa Hikaru and Miyazaki Yuta had dinner together. Kurosawa, I seem to have been deceived. At the dinner table, Miyazaki Yuta was not as energetic as before and was dejected. What happened? Didn't it go well? Seeing him like this, Kurosawa Hikari was puzzled. How many days has it been? And he also gave strict instructions to be more vigilant when it comes to money. Logically speaking, you shouldn't be cheated, right? Actually, I lied yesterday. I didn't go shopping with her after school on Wednesday. As you guessed, she wanted me to buy something for her. I guessed that you were lying to save your face yesterday, then what? Did you buy it? I bought it and then helped her deliver the pair of earrings to her doorstep. Did you actually buy it? Have you seen her? She was not at home at the time. She wanted to return the money to me that night. I thought it was only more than 10,000 yuan and it was a pair of earrings, so I treated it as a gift to her. Well. Seeing that he had been fooled, Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head helplessly. Sometimes, when people want to be deceived, even anti-fraud apps can't stop them. Then she started video chatting with me. She was very beautiful, just like the photo, and her voice was so sweet. After chatting for half an hour, she asked me to help her pay for her online shopping. What is she going to buy this time? A bag, 46,000 8,000. You bought. When she acted coquettishly with me, I couldn't hold it back. Well. Kurosawa Hikaru let out a long sigh. This female sea king's methods were just as good as ever. When I first got along with him, it was actually like this. However, in my previous life, internet fraud was very popular. When chatting with people on the internet, he would become wary whenever money was mentioned. Sold. I'm sorry, I already reacted after I woke up this morning. Yuta Miyazaki also sighed, feeling very sorry and feeling gloomy. It was obvious that Kurosawa had warned him long ago to be careful, but in the end he still fell into the trap. Do you want to call the police? Kurosawa Hikaru thought for a while and asked. Compared to his previous love trading, which did not cause any harm to personal money but only caused mental damage, Miyazaki Yuta was truly defrauded of money. Forget it, just think of it as buying a lesson, and it would be too pitiful for her to be caught by the police. After hearing this suggestion, Miyazaki Yuta shook his head. Do you want to tell everyone that Ikaritsu Mujika is a liar? Realizing that he was still worried about others, Kurosawa Hikaru thought for a while and then suggested. You must not tell anyone. If everyone knows that I have been cheated, I will be embarrassed. Yuta Miyazaki thought he wanted to tell him, so he hurriedly stopped him. The more than 50,000 yen was more or less, but the key was that he was defrauded of money through online dating. If this happened, people would laugh at him. Alright. Kurosawa Hikaru actually understood his decision and nodded. Just like it is impossible to tell the truth about his broken love, Xiaoyuki can understand it as a buyer and feels that Ikaritsu Mujikari is at a loss, but if an alumnus of Tokyo University finds out, he is afraid that it will make people laugh.